Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us here again, Quantum Field Trips. I'm Ruthie Renee, and I'm here today with Jessica. And Jessica, thank you so much for joining us. I'm so excited to have you here. Jessica is a powerhouse, you guys. She has I wish that I could give you a glimpse into her face, her disposition, her personality. Um, Gosh, when did we start working together?
Um, it would have been probably, gosh, maybe 6 months ago,
6 months ago or so.
maybe a little bit longer.
Antonio, yeah, 6 to 9 months, somewhere in there,
Yeah.
and to where she is now. Um, Very exciting time in your life. Lots of changes, some painful, some exciting. Most exciting, I think. She's a mom of two amazing kids. She's a sales professional, and she rocks it. So if you need an amazing sales associate, then hook her up. Um, so Jessica's been willing to come and share her experience with us, and I'm so grateful because so many people get nervous about even the word hypnosis and hypnotherapy and what does that mean. So to start out, can you tell us what brought you to me, and what were your first impressions of hypnosis?
Yeah. So I felt very stuck. Like I'd gone through a divorce, I had my kids. I could see some insecurities that I was dealing with, kind of my kids kind of picking up on those. And I just felt very stuck, like career wise, personally. And I have a friend who had used you before and gone, done some work with you. And she had mentioned it a while ago. And so I asked her again for your information and just kind of felt like this is the path I should go on. I was nervous, but I wanted to understand where this damage was coming from. I had very bad body image, but just very like negative self-talk, and just really in my core felt like I wasn't enough, like I just wasn't good enough for anything. And so I wanted to figure out, where did that come from? Like, why do I feel that way? Because I knew that was holding me back from everything that I wanted.
Gosh, okay.
I was
That
like, I'm crying.
pulled up all the memories of our first session together, and that discovery, and where you were. And first, I just want to thank you for being so vulnerable and courageous and willing to see yourself clearly, because I think that's a huge, well, awareness. That's always the first step. That's what I teach in Plaster Everywhere. Awareness, awareness. But so many people, even when they're feeling less than or low esteem, all of that, they don't want it to be true, so they cover it up with ego. And if you, my friends, I want you to know how open Jessica is for truth. And that is essential. I really believe that that is why you've made so many drastic improvements in your life, because you got the awareness. I'm stuck. Now, what am I going to do about it? You did the work, you dug in, and you were pretty brutally honest with yourself and taking responsibility. That that amazes me. So well done.
Thank you.
And so you were nervous but not scared. You weren't like hung up on stage hypnotism or anything. Were referred.
No, yeah, just a little nervous. I mean, never though did the thought enter like, oh, I can't do this. Something inside me knew that this was my next step that I needed to take. And I needed to just push past any like fears I had or any nerves I had about it. If I wanted to figure this out and move forward. And I wanted that more than I wanted to stay where I was, I guess.
That's brave. And you hit on, okay, you're just going to hit on all the key items. Thank you for saying all the right things. That's another one. When the pain of feeling stuck is greater than the pain or fear of moving forward, that's when you do the work. So I'm so glad that led you to me. So now, moving into our sessions together, what were some of your favorite experiences or aha moments, like going into hypnosis? Was it what you expected, or How did that feel like to you?
Yeah, I mean, it was different than what I expected. I think my biggest aha moments were, gosh, I'm trying to think. Probably one I'm still actually kind of working on is when I get hurt or angry, I tend to throw jabs. And so figuring out where that came from, that was a pretty big moment because when you and I went through it, it took me to a specific situation when I was little, right? That didn't have anything to do with me, but just something I was watching. And so it was a pretty awake because I hadn't thought about that memory ever, right? And so it was a pretty awakening moment for me, like, oh, that's where that comes from. But seeing it from both sides or all sides, I guess, and like how the person getting the jab feels and how the person who's giving the jab feels, and so that it's I'm better at it in the sense I'm more aware that I do it, but I still do it. So it is somewhere that I still need to work on. But that was probably my biggest aha moment because some of the others I already knew what it was stemming from, but it helped me in the other moments. Actually, probably another one would be the work on forgiveness. Forgiving those who had done things that had hurt me. But probably the hardest one and probably the biggest one was forgiving myself. I think if you remember, I put that off for like 2 weeks. And then it came out of nowhere when it finally happened. Like I was listening to somebody speaking on like Facebook or something, and it triggered something, and that just led into like the whole process happening for me. I was in the bathtub of all places, but like, so like, I guess it was a good place because I was, crying and sobbing, and but it was kind of weird how it all happened. But I don't think if you and I had done that work, it wouldn't have happened. Like I wouldn't have been open to it. I wouldn't have even seen it. So being able to get to a place where I felt safe and able to work through all those emotions to forgive myself, because that was definitely the hardest one.
That's but so worth it, right?
Yeah, I don't think I think I said it in the class, but like when you have that kink, even I think if you say, oh, I forgive but I never forget, like you're really not forgiving because you're holding on to it still, right? So you still have that kink, and the flow is off whenever you have that kink. And that's something I've taught my kids since then, right? It's like we have to let this go, we have to forgive, and that it's not about that person, it's about you and how your energy flows and how your emotions flow. And like it literally happened with the water hose. Like right after I told my daughter the water hose got kinked, I don't think she believed me. And then like she saw what happened and she was like, you do know what you're talking about. It's like I'm like, I couldn't have planned that better.
It's so nice when you have those mom moments. You're like, yeah, I do know my stuff. You touched on a number of things that I'm grateful for, and I want to touch on. One thing that is so much fun in hypnotherapy, especially when we do what we call age regression work, is when you go in thinking one thing and then you expose the emotion and then you tie it back. You go back to the first memory where that program was created, the seed, and it never is what we think it is. A memory will come up and your first thought in your head would be like, oh no, not this one, this is not important, I don't have any emotion around this, or whatever it is. And it's so important whether you're working with me or yourself or another therapist, hypnotherapist. It's essential to trust yourself. Just trust that your subconscious is going to bring up exactly what you need to learn. And I remember that session. That was fun to see. Oh, this wasn't something that you created. This is a learned behavior. And then reconstruct how you saw it.
Right.
That was fun. And then you brought up we did sessions together, and then you actually joined my group course for learning self-hypnosis. So you're now like totally capable of taking care of your own hypnosis and meditation and issues, and you got the forgiveness piece. Have you used self-hypnosis very often?
I do. Like when I start to get that anxiety, like when you and I first met, I'm sure you remember, I was an anxiety ridden mess. Like and my girlfriend and I were just talking about, I was like, oh, there was that 2 months I went crazy. It was like so out of character for me. I don't know what was happening. So if I feel that to kind of start, like, especially now that there's more of like talks that like we might be shutting down or, that kind of stuff, or masks coming back, and you start feeling that like, oh gosh, so it's like just kind of walk myself through it and like calming down. And I guess I mentioned I've done some stuff with the kids too, when they start getting like their energy just kind of starts getting out of control, like kind of get them to breathe. Or especially my son, like he still throws temper tantrums sometimes. And so getting him to like, just kind of find the energy to calm down and take the deep breaths and kind of relax. And they started doing like meditations with me too and stuff. So that kind of led into all of that to help them see that. And so it's been pretty cool to watch me do stuff and then
Aw,
watch them learn from it.
that is so nice. I have a lot of people come to me sometimes when they want to like do the group program, but because they want to fix their spouse or fix their kids or
Mm.
or whatever. And my answer is always work on you,
Yeah.
work on your response to life that's happening, and it can't help but trickle out into the people around you. So that's what a great investment for a mom, because then it pays off with your children as well.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Because I have a hard time when he's throwing the temper tantrums. That definitely, I don't want to say triggers me, but it does something to me. And it's not a pleasant thing that it does. So it's been great in being able to like help keep me calm so I can help him, then find his calm as well.
Right. Right. When you realize, okay, this tantrum is not about me.
Yeah.
They're in amygdala hijack, just like you were. Well, and you can feel it too, because you had those 2 months of crazy times when you were acting out of character. And
Yeah.
I love that you said it that way too, because that's a really great example when people feel or recognize that wasn't me.
Yeah.
What was I thinking? Or you're going about your life and then something triggers you and you explode, and you never intended to, but you have that amygdala hijack. Usually that amygdala response is only that way. Well, it's there to keep us safe, but if it has that high fight or flight response when there isn't real imminent danger, it's a clue that you've got some programming back in the past that's just exploding. So great time to take a look with some hypnosis or self
Yeah.
hypnosis, however it is. But wow, so many great treasures. What was your, and now, and I didn't ask this question before, so put you on the spot. What was your biggest takeaway from doing the self hypnosis Create Your Reality course?
I think my biggest takeaway was, gosh, that's a good one. I was saying to my girlfriend the other day, I think that as we go through this and you start healing yourself and you start healing that the damage that was done, or the self-limiting beliefs that you've said about yourself, like wherever these stories have come from, right, that we tell ourselves, as you start healing that, I don't know if it makes you more empathetic or more insightful or whatever word you want to use, but you start realizing why other people are doing the things they're doing. Like you may not know the core reason, like what's triggering that, but you become, I guess, just you have more empathy for, this isn't as black and white as it seems. Like they're not just being, something has happened that's created this story for them. And like I said it to somebody, I can't remember, I was like, it's not a 48-year-old woman who's responding, it's a 6-year-old little girl who's in trauma that's responding. So that's why you don't recognize this person that's in front of you, right?
Right.
That's not who they really are. It's whatever age that trauma happened at, that person's responding at. And unfortunately, it's usually when we're a child, right? So for me, I think that's made that really helpful for me to not take offense to things or not take anything so personal, and be able to like take a step back and kind of watch them go through. Like as we were talking, I was with somebody and then we ended up during the class, and something happened after, and it triggered him, And I was like, whoa, what is happening right now? And at first I tried to like calm him, like kind of reason with him, and that wasn't working. And then finally I was just like, you know what, I need to just let him go through whatever's happening, like let this process happen. It's not about me. Like this is clearly something that has nothing to do with me, and just kind of let him go through it. And then finally he's like, I'm so sorry. Like, I don't know what like snapped him out of it. I can't remember, but he's like, that you didn't deserve that. I'm so sorry. I don't know what just happened. And before I would have responded in anger and offended, and it would have turned into this huge fight, right? And this time I was able to be like, oh, this, I don't know what's going on, but I'm just gonna let them go through it and just wait it out. And so the outcome was much, much better than it would have been before I worked with you, for sure.
Wow, that is really beautiful. Thank you. And what a blessing to be able to see the world in that different with that different lens of knowing that people are really doing the best they know how, but sometimes they get triggered just like
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah.
And that's thank you. Thank you for sharing that. I know that there are many people that can relate to that, and that amygdala hijack. Whenever somebody comes out and says, that wasn't me. I don't know what just happened. It's
Yeah.
just like you said, it's because it's not them. It's past them crying for help still because we like things to be completed. And if something wasn't completed in the right way, it's going to keep coming up to show you. So, wow. Well, thank you. Thank you for that. Lastly, I want to touch on something because I just have to toot your horn. um, one thing that I love is that when I was in school, they talked about was the hypnotic facelift. And I was like, what? But then I would watch people go through their sessions and they would peel away 5 years of their life, 10 years, 20 years sometimes. And it's just taken away the weight of the trauma or the heaviness or the whatever it is. And I have to say, girl, you look good. You look, so you just, the joy on your face and the peace and all of that looks really good on you. And please tell us how you've done with your fitness goals in the last
Yeah. So as if peeling away layers of trauma for 48 years wasn't enough, I decided to also start working out, because that was also somewhere like I would work out and then not, stop. And it was to a point where, and I think it's twofold. It was to a point where I would see pictures and like, who is that? And I'm like, oh my God, that's me, and I didn't recognize myself at all. Um, and I think that's two things. A, I'd put on so much weight, but B, I think it's kind of what you just said, like there was this
year?
mask covering me, right? And so as I started peeling the layers off of, you know, all the past and then started working out, I've now stuck with it. I've now finished, I think, 7 programs in this time. And which I never ever thought would happen. So it's been a huge kind of domino effect in every aspect, where things are just, I'm in cells, but I'm in cells and on the fitness side now, which I never thought I would do that. And you and I had talked about videos. I hate doing videos. It's really uncomfortable for me. And I've actually done some videos of them on like my social media and stuff, which like now my son had said the other day, like, oh, my mom's not afraid of anything. Like she's so, and I was like, what? And I made a video about that. And I was like, and I don't know, because I'm scared of everything. Right. And I didn't think he was paying attention. I was playing the video back and he was playing and he stopped and he looks at me and goes, you're scared of stuff? I said, yeah, baby, I am. He's like, I didn't know that. You don't seem like you're scared of anything. And I said, well, honey, you have two choices. When you're scared, let it keep you right where you are, or you push through it. I said, and when you push through it, usually what you really, really want is on the other side of that. So you just take a deep breath and you just do it. And he got this like smile on his face. He's like, oh, because he's my scaredy cat. My daughter's like fearless, but he's scared of, unfortunately, he takes after me. He's scared of everything. So he just like started playing again, but he had like the biggest smile on his face. And I think my daughter said the other day, she's like, Mom, I think you're like an elephant. And I was like, what? And she goes, oh, did you make that look because you think I'm saying you're big? And I said, yeah. She goes, no, because they're so strong like you are. And I was like, wow. Like they never said stuff like that before. And so it's just trickled into everything. And it's it's done what I was hoping it would do for sure, which isn't to say I don't still have fears or I still don't have things I need to work on. But I see a difference in them. I see a difference in how they look at me, which is, I don't know. I don't know if there's any words that you can put on that, right? So it's pretty amazing.
That's that. Thank you for. I'm just gonna, every time you speak, I'm just going to say thank you for sharing. But it's true. You can't, just like you can't damage one thing without affecting other pieces in your life. You can't heal one thing without it trickling out and affecting different things in your life. So, and what a great lesson for your son to know that it's okay to be scared and you push through it anyway. That's called bravery and courage. And you definitely embrace that. And y'all, she has a six pack. It and I remember the beginning of our sessions, the body shaming that you had and how your daughter would call you out and your boyfriend at the time, and you recognizing, I have to figure this out. And now you've done the work, and that's kudos to you.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm actually even wearing dresses now, which I never thought I would do. So
yes, I remember that post about the knees because I could relate to that. And
I know a lot of people did. It was the weirdest thing. I'm like, what a weird thing.
I'd like to know. Tell me in the comments. Do you like your knees? And if you so, I want a picture.
It was such a weird thing, but so many people related to it. It was funny, but yeah, it's changed so much, and so I'm so grateful that I was introduced to you, and because I don't know, like if I hadn't been, God, I would hope I wouldn't still be stuck, but I'd be probably not where I am now for sure. I'd be just reading book after book trying to figure it out.
Taking the long approach. Well, I'm so glad that we were brought together, and I wasn't going to do this, but I know that there are people that are inspired by you and that are looking at you. And since you said social media and your sales and fitness, they're going, well, what, where, how do I find her? So are you okay with people searching you out and finding you on social media? How would they do that?
Yeah, absolutely. So Instagram, it's biohacking with Jess, and then Facebook is biohacking with Jessica.
Okay, and we'll put that in the show notes. So if anybody wants to follow your story, you have some before and afters, I'm guessing.
I do. There's before and afters on there. I'm coming up, excuse me, next month, I think is 1 year since I've been working out. So I'm going to do the before and after for that as well.
Oh, I'm so excited.
Yeah, I am too. And then I just started a new program today and I'm hearing like amazing things about it. So I'm really excited to see those results.
That's awesome.
And I kind of, if I can cut the gummy bears out, it might be even better.
Well, self-hypnosis goes
right?
at those neural pathways that want those gummy bears. And that's another story in and of itself. But Gal, again, I'm just so impressed with you, lady. I thank you for sharing. And I like how you talked about programs. I've been in all of these programs. I've been in all the programs too. Mastermind, if you're not a part of a coaching group or a mastermind group or some accountability group, that's like so key for most of us to have somebody to be accountable to and get the job done and continue with those. So hopefully there will be some people that will reach out and want to follow you and jump into your group. If it's the body thing, follow Jessica, get the nutrition in, get the stamina and the workout in. And if you need to get your head on straight, come and see me and we'll join the Create Your Reality group. All right. Any last words you want to say, takeaways?
No, I mean, just honestly, it was you provided such a safe space. Because it's hard, right? To peel those layers back and rebuild that trauma. And I never once felt uncomfortable or that I couldn't, that I had to hide anything. And I think being able to have that safe space allowed for some hard healing to happen. Like, I mean, crying happened, and anger happened, and but you made it an area where I could work through all of that and not feel judged or feel anything at all. And if you don't have that, then you're not going to do that work. So thank you so much for providing that.
Absolutely.
It make me cry.
I know.
And I didn't cry before. So you might start crying after all this.
Right. Beware, once you unlock the emotions, they just drizzle out and it's all good. I do get so close to all of my clients. I absolutely love you, and I'm excited to see the progress, and there is a connection. So I appreciate that. And on
Thank
that
you.
lovely note, I'm going to say to our watchers, thank you again for watching and listening and being curious. Reach out to Jessica for fitness, reach out to me for your mindset, and let's get the work done and get the world a better place. Thanks again.